Hello, everybody. It is Mike Levin on Tuesday, February 9th, 2021. On my last video, I showed you how to strip down everything in Windows, particularly the Start menu, to remove everything, and the Taskbar, except for, of course, the things that are currently running. And I think I removed something over here, and just left on the desktop the icons which are tied to things that I run with keyboard shortcuts. So as you can see, Control-Alt-E will bring up Edge, and Control-Alt-Y will begin my YouTube screencast recording process. The next thing we do now to make a system truly usable is virtual screens. And you'll see here there is this task view. And I say I stripped everything out except for what's running. This is where Microsoft decided to expose you to some things they're pushing heavily. Here's Cortana, but next to Cortana is something I find infinitely more useful, which is the task view. Sometimes I accidentally right-click on the trackpad or click to the right of the trackpad. But you can see, click on that shows you something that most Windows users will dismiss immediately, or at most use it to switch between their running tasks that are broken out and sort of listed in little miniaturized tiled versions. And that's nice for switching between things on the same screen, but it's possible under Windows to get new virtual desktops. So say, for example, you do have your Edge running, and you've got a tab open to something you're surfing on, I don't know, say Wikipedia. So you got Wikipedia running, and you got some video conference and some other thing, and you want to be able to quickly switch on the same screen between this tab and this tab. Well, say you broke it out and you made it two separate windows. If you used this feature, here are your two windows, and that helps in not getting lost with all those windows you can have open on the same screen. However, it's even better, and just to make sure you understand the user interface here, if you don't want to use this, or if you lost it or removed it, generally the three-finger swoosh up on your trackpad will bring this up as well. You can add a new desktop. It's very unassuming here. And until you press it, it doesn't look like there's much up there. But the second you press it, you get this user interface for switching between virtual screens. Another reason people might not use it is, oh, you go to it, oh, everything disappeared. And in fact, I don't even see the Edge thing there. If I were to do the three-finger swoosh up and go here, oh, there's my Edge icons. I'm going to have to change one of the settings to make sure that the icons stay up no matter which virtual screen you're on. That must be a new default setting for Windows. I do not remember it behaving that way. At any rate, now, one might say, well, how do you get one of the windows over there, and how do you make switching back and forth easier than doing this? Well, if you'll remember, the three-finger swoosh up is the same as clicking that. Well, if you do the three-finger swoosh left or right, that'll switch you between apps. I will have to configure that to switch you between full screen and only the apps that are on your screen. That's interesting. So if I were on this screen and I did the three-finger swoosh left or right, it can allow me to go between all my running apps. Still, it's very Windows. It's like the old Alt-Tab days. It's getting there, but it's not quite there. But what is there is actually great. It's just most people don't know how to do it. So we're on the screen that has the multiple Chrome windows. It's right here. I three-finger swoosh up. I grab one of the Chrome windows, in this case, let's say Wikipedia, and I drop it there. Now, if I go in here, I can use a keyboard shortcut, which is Control Windows, and the arrow keys to just arrow key left and right between them. See how much nicer that is? And if you had a need for a third screen, you just, another way of getting here is Windows tab. You can just add as many as you like. And now, as you can see, you can just switch incredibly fast and conveniently between all these different places. And I very traditionally have very particular things running in each screen. I put a terminal window here, a web browser, particularly Jupyter Notebook web browser, a Jupyter Notebook session running web browser here, and then the thing I'm actually working on for the day or the deliverable here. So I am always jumping between these three screens. The first one, the terminal, actually contains my journal in the terminal running in Vim, but I won't get into too much of that now. This is just sort of a showing you what's coming up. Now you can't unfortunately pick these up and rearrange them. That's not a thing yet. But you can rename them if you wanted them to be named something. Oh, maybe not. I am no longer on the developer track of Windows right here. That's very interesting. This is the first time in a while I haven't been running the developer ring of Windows. So some of the things are a little different than I'm familiar with. You can rename these but not move them around under versions that are forthcoming. But you can delete them just like this and get back to just the number that you need. And that's pretty much it. I wanted to show you how you can create this wonderful virtual screen environment that I'm using all the time. Virtual desktop, I think they call it. The Mac has the equivalent, and all these tricks that I'm telling you about using shortcuts to launch apps and to use virtual screens and an easy way to switch between them, it's exactly the same whether you're on, well, not exactly, it's nearly the same, whether you're on a Mac desktop, a Windows desktop, or some other Linux desktop like Ubuntu or Plasma. They all have exactly the same conventions in making virtual screens and moving between them. And generally more and more they're forcing you into this left-right paradigm because like a ribbon, it's a lot more easy to think about that than other arrangements that could be done like a grid. I used to try that under Ubuntu and it was just horrible keeping track of where everything was in a grid. So these left-right ribbons that the Mac has the equivalent of and Windows has a pretty nice implementation here is something that you ought to really get used to and get into your fingers because it helps productivity probably more than anything else. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again soon, and don't forget to subscribe.